When I finished watching the races at Tabor, I thought the feature I'd be talking about was this fantastic swale. Located early in the lap, it had all kinds of amazing stuff happening in it, from a light post in the middle of the track to a muddy chute that pulled riders in all directions. And it did turn out to be a feature that gave us some highlights, including Tom Pidcock going down and Wout van Aert traversing every inch before taking Tone out of contention. It showed Michael Van Toornout's mastery of the track even under pressure from Ellie Iserbyt. And in the women's race, the highlight that definitely got people's attention was Ceylin del Carmen Alvarado checking Denise Betsema into the boards. Boom! But if you look more closely at that clip, it's more about Lucinda Brand throwing Alvarado off her line. It was a message from the cyclocross gods to Alvarado to avoid Brand's wheel at all costs. Just the week before, she had to avoid Brand on the off-camber. Here, it was getting too close on the swale. You would think by the time they got to Boom, Alvarado would have learned her lesson. Spoiler alert, she did not. But that's a story for a different time, and not the focus of this episode of CXs and Os. Hello, Cyclocross friends, and thanks for tuning in to CXs and Os, where we will be talking about our forgotten friend, the planks. Once the highlight of a cyclocross track, the planks were the feature most associated with the sport. It's where the crowds would gather. It was what allowed us to explain to our friends, it's steeplechase, but you carry the horse. But recently I feel the planks no longer get the respect they once did. The UCI mandated that you could only have one pair of planks on a track, and they could not be higher than 40 centimeters. That certainly put a damper on course designers' creativity. Heck, sometimes they didn't even bother to put planks anywhere on the course. The feature had lost its place in the cyclocross hierarchy. It reminded me of the poor Doberman in a classic Norm Macdonald bit.
You don't see Dobermans anymore, you notice that? Pit bulls now everywhere. Doberman's like a forgotten dog, you never see a Doberman. Once in a while you see him, like you'd be on a park bench with a frisbee. I used to be somebody. I'm a Doberman.
Another aspect of the planks that has evolved over time is how riders approach them. Go back a decade and you had a handful of riders who could traverse the obstacles without dismounting. Over time, the ability to ride the planks became a skill possessed by every top rider on the men's side, and more on the women's side. The ability to ride planks has gone from a novelty to a necessity, and those who have mastered the skill have a distinct advantage over their competitors. That advantage was on view at the World Cup track in Tabor, and the planks were an essential feature leading to victory. So let's break it down. The Tabor planks were located right after the pits. The lead-in is a sharp turn into an uphill drag. The planks themselves are as tall as they legally can be and about 6 inches or so wide to house the lights for the sponsor ads. The planks are also squeezed together about as close as they can be under the regulations. With the speed of the approach, the transition from landing to re-jumping is fast and tricky. On lap 2, we can see just how important the transition is as Wout pulls up at the ultimate last microsecond to clear the second plank. A little farther behind, Lawrence Sweck isn't as lucky, as you can see his front wheel contacting the plank, resulting in his rear wheel catapulting over him. As scary as that looked, Sweck was able to return to racing. On lap 3, we finally get a good look at the approach to the planks. Accelerating after the turn and into the rise is key to success. Time it right like Michael Van Toornout did, and you can open the gap. Van Toornout loses no momentum and explodes off the landing to gap Wout, who has lost his momentum by having to readjust for the second plank. Behind, and now out of contention, Lawrence Sweck is taking no chances and dismounting for the feature. Skipping ahead to lap 5 and Mikey V is cruising. These are practice reps at race speed. He has nobody around him and is able to ramp up before the feature, clear the first plank, and seamlessly transition into the second before accelerating away. Also keep an eye on how Van Toornout keeps to the fast middle line. Wout, behind him, drifts to the side and takes Ailey with him. The longer grass after the planks is more difficult to accelerate from. Lap 6 and the guy in the truck answers my pleas from home and switches to the head-on camera so we can get a great view of Mikey V's approach, transition, and acceleration away. When we look at Mikey V and Ailey side by side, you can see the difference. Van Toornout is efficient and saving matches, where Iserbyt is burning them to re-accelerate and close the gap. Behind them, Tone looks great through the transition but has a little difficulty on the other side. Corne Van Kessel comes in hot and has to veer into the barrier, which gives Van Aert 4th position. On the replay, you can see that Van Kessel ran into a similar problem that Laurens Sweeck had, but the contact coming higher up the plank meant the fulcrum effect wasn't as severe and he was able to make the save. Lap 7 is probably Iserbyt's best go at it. He's smooth through the transition and matches Van Torenhout's pace. But on the other side, Mikey V is more precise in holding that center line, where Ely is drifting to the longer grass and working harder to gain momentum. On the final lap, tactics start to take over. Van Torenhout takes it easy through the pits before accelerating hard after the turn. He is all in and nails the transition perfectly, carrying momentum and sprinting away from the second plank. Iserbyt, now under pressure, is not as smooth and again drifts to the longer grass, which kills his momentum. This is the launching pad that allows Van Torenhout to continue to attack through the lap before finally getting free from his teammate and taking his first World Cup victory. Michael Van Torenhout rode a near flawless race, but it was his mastery of those tricky planks that allowed him to conserve energy on some laps and attack on others. For me, it was the key to his victory. What's your take? Let me know in the comments below. Also, I'd love to hear what features you think are worth breaking down for future episodes. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and share. If you'd like even more cyclocross coverage, sign up for the CX Hairs Bulletin. The link is in the show notes. Until next time, cyclocross friends.